want to talk about our high rail gear system on here. So first we're going to open up the high rail drive box. So we're going to undo the latches on here, open the lid. So inside of here, this is our chain drive system. So down here in the bottom, we actually have a solid axle that goes from one rail wheel to the other. We have our drive motor and transmission, and then we actually have the chain drive that goes from the motor down to the drive axle. So, and then this motor is actually mounted in on a hinge system here, and we've got turnbuckles here that can be adjusted to allow to get proper chain tension on this. Usually like to have about 1/4 inch of play on these chain drives on that, so just loosen the nuts, make your adjustments, lock it down, get the proper tension on it. Usually like to have chain lube put on these about once a week just to keep the chains lubricated on that. Also inside of here we've got our roller rail clamp system, so we have our cylinders in here for actuating that. They've got a couple grease fittings on those. Also the bearings on the axles have grease fittings on them as well. And also inside of here, these roller rail clamps are on the same circuit that raise and lower your gear. So as you're lowering the gear down, once the gear bottoms out going down to the max down position, it will actually shift oil over these cylinders and cause the rail clamps to close. So it's all controlled with one circuit. If you don't want to have the rail clamps come up and down, inside of the boxes is a shutoff valve.
So you just take the handle, you flip it up, and that will keep the oil from going to the clamps, keep them from moving up and down. If you're doing mainline work, you don't want them coming up and down. But if you're doing bridge work and you want the rail clamps to work, flip this down, and it'll send oil to the rail clamps, and it'll cause them to open and close while you're working out on the bridge. So also on this, we've got the brakes. We've got Cobra style brake shoes on here. This is spring applied hydraulic release brakes that are on here. They're automatic, so as you're moving the machine, the brakes will come off. As you stop the machines, the brakes will set. If you have to tow the machine for any need, it's in our manual of the procedure to do it, but how it would be done if you need to tow it is at the end of this motor, there's a screw in the end of the shaft. Take this screw and loosen it up, and it will disconnect the motor from the transmission. And then on these brakes, on the very back side of them, there's a little R-clip. Pull the R-clip out. There's a nut on the back of there. Tighten that nut up, and it'll actually cage the brakes back and bring the brakes off the wheels. Do that on all 4 corners. And then once the motors disconnect, the brakes are caged, then you actually be able to tow the machine if you needed to. So on our back high rail box, this is actually there's an idler axle that's inside of here. So inside of this one is just a storage area. If you need to store parts, chains, bars, anything like that, you can carry that material in here. It also has a shutoff valve like the front for your roller rail clamps. So if you want to shut them off, you shut that valve off and shut the one in the front. That'll keep your rail clamps from going up and down.